Sairam everyone, and welcome back to our history class. We will in fact continue with our history revision of the lesson Socialism in Europe and Russian Revolution. Children, before we continue, let's just go back and see what is socialism. Socialism is a system, economic or political system. It believes that a society in which the means of production are owned and controlled by the workers or community as a whole. It is socialism. Communism, a system or social organization in which all property is owned by the community and each person contributes and receives according to their ability and needs is communism. Okay? So now let's move further. So let's begin with the Russian Empire in 1914. Before talking about this topic, let's see what is this Russian Revolution. Okay? There's not only one event. There were chains of events that took place in Russia. Like the fall of Monarchy in February 1917, and socialist government changed in Russia. That is, the socialists took over the government in Russia. That was through October Revolution. Okay, and the other events that took place in October are called as Russian Revolution. How this all happened? Government change, king was thrown out. How this all happened? What was the reason? There should be some reason for all these events, for all this revolt of the people. So we can understand this, we can know this by studying the economic, political and the social life of people of Russia. Let's understand it. Okay, so now we will begin with the Russian Empire. I'll talk to you about the Russian Empire who ruled Russia and the other parts of Russia in the year 1914. You see on your monitor? He is Tsar Nicholas II. Okay, he was ruler of Russia and also its empire. That is the Russian Empire in 1914. Now, Russian Empire included present days Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, parts of Poland, Ukraine, Belarus. It also included Central Asian states as well as Georgia, the Armenia and Azerbaijan. Okay, it was a very huge, very big empire. I'll show you the map. I'll show you this Russian Empire of 1914. Okay? Let's see the Russian Empire. Okay, the other countries which were included in Russian Empire. So we'll begin with, here is Finland. Can you see? Very good. Then we have Latvia. Yes, Lithuania, then Estonia, then parts of Poland. 1 minute, I'll just take my brush. Yes, Poland. Then we have Ukraine, okay, and Belarus. Okay, now we will move on to Georgia. Here, where it is, where's my brush? Here, Georgia, right? Armenia and Azerbaijan. Okay, these were the countries which were under the Russian Empire, Tsar Nicholas II. Okay, now let's talk about the religion followed in this Russia and its empire, Russian Empire. Okay, the religion followed by majority of the people of Russia, that is the Russian people, was Russian Orthodox Christianity. Okay, and this religion had grown from Greek church. Okay, but as we know, there were many other countries under Russia, that is the empire. The people in this region, okay, followed Christianity, that they were Catholics, they were Protestants, even there were people who followed Muslim religion, and there were people who were Buddhists. So we can see that there was diversity in religion, religious diversity in Russian Empire. Russian Empire was very huge, very big. Okay, now let's move further. Let's talk about its economy and also about its society. Now children, economy and society, these are two different topics. One is economy and the other one is we are going to talk about the society. Okay, so let us first talk about its economy. Okay, in the beginning of 12th century, main occupation of the people in Russia was agriculture. Yes, about 85% of its population, including its empire, here I'm talking about, 85% of its population were agriculturists. They were occupied in farming. Okay, this population which was engaged in agriculture, they earned their living through production of grains, through agriculture, through farming. Okay, this percent of people depended on agriculture in Russia was more than other European countries. See, in France, only 40% of the people, of the population, were engaged in agriculture, in farming. Whereas you talk about Germany, only 60% of the people, they were engaged in agriculture. So obviously 85% is too much, yeah. So here we can see the population in Russia that depended on agriculture was more as compared to the other European countries. Now, crops were cultivated for self-consumption and also for sale in the Russian Empire. Very important point is Russia was major exporter of grains. Okay, why? Because more production was there, large population of the country was engaged in farming, and that's the reason Russia was the major exporter of grains. Now, Petersburg and Moscow, they were the two industrial area, very important industrial area. Industrial area means many industries were set up in these cities. Here it is, Petersburg's, that is towards your left, and towards your right is Moscow. There were many workshops, okay, and the craftsmen took much of the production. In 1890s, many factories were set up. Railway network extended. Okay, expansion of railway was there. And foreign investors, they started investing in these industries in Russia. They were ready to invest because railway network was there, so that the people can be transported from one place to another place. They won't have any difficulty in that. They can earn more profits. That's the reason investors started investing. Now, the result was that production of coal increased. It became double. Iron and steel production also increased 4 times. And in 1900, number of factory workers were same as the number of craftsmen in some area. Okay? Most of these industries were privately owned. They were private property of industrialists. Government did supervise these large factories to make sure that minimum wages are paid to the workers. And government also supervised that the working hours should be limited. The hours of work should be limited, children. But these rules were broken. The factory inspector could not stop exploitation of workers. In small workshops, or you can say craft units, workers had to work or made to work for long 15 hours. Okay, sometimes, not every day, sometimes they worked for long 15 hours compared to 10 to 12 hours in factories. Now let me tell you about the accommodation. Workers had no house. They were forced to live in dormitories. These, you see on your monitor, this is a dormitories. They used to sleep in shifts as they could not keep their families with them because they themselves were living in these dormitories wherein they were made to sleep in shift. Okay? Let us talk about Russian society. Okay? Now, we saw workers migrated from village to cities for jobs when Industrial Revolution took place. These workers, factory owners, were divided by skills. Like, example I'll be giving you, metal workers. These metal workers, they considered themselves as aristocrats because their occupation of these metal workers demanded more training and skills. Also, women, Russian women, they worked in factories. Women made up 31% of the factory labor by 1914. But they were paid less than the men, because very simple reason, men were considered superior than a woman. Here you can see women working in factories. Look at this. Okay, now division among workers showed themselves, these workers showed their division in dress and also in manners. There were some workers who formed association. Very important role played by some workers. Children, this association helped members, members of the association. They used to help the members during unemployment, when they had no jobs with them, and financial hardship. But very sad to say that such associations were very few. As we saw, these workers were divided, right? Just now we saw metal workers, they considered themselves as aristocrats. So workers were divided on the basis of their skills. But children, these workers did unite to stop work or strike work against the factory owner. Means when it came to the workers, they all came together and they revolted against the owner, the industrialist. See, if you are having interclass competition, 9th A against 9th B, you all will put everything, say 9th A class, they'll put everything into it. They see that they will win. But if we have any competition with our school, with other schools, say cricket match, so you won't see that the player is from your class, the batsman is from your class, or the bowler is from your class. Your just main motto will be that your school should win this match. Same way over here. There were differences, but these workers, they came together against any exploitation done to them by the owners. These workers, they went on strike. And when did they go on strike? When they disagreed with dismissals of employers or workers, or say any disagreement about the working conditions. Such strikes were frequent in textile industries. That was during the year 1896 and 97. Not only in textile industries, but strikes were frequent in metal industries during 1902. Can you see on your monitor? Yes. Here you can see people going on strike, stop work. They're on the roads. Okay, now we'll move further. Now we talked about the cities. Now let's go to the countryside and see what type of society was there. See, in the countrysides, villages, peasants cultivated most of the land. Okay, can you see on your monitor? Okay, yes. Now, most of these lands which they cultivated were owned by the nobility, the nobles, the crown, and by the Orthodox Church. We did see this in French Revolution. first two estates owned property, right? The peasants who went to cities, they became workers. Some had properties, some peasants, they worked. Okay? Now, like the workers, even these peasants were divided. As I told you just now, some peasants, they had property, their own land, but some of the peasants, they worked for the landlords, landowners. They were very religious people, these peasants. Except a few cases, they had no respect for the nobles, for the nobility. These nobles, they got the power and position through their service to the czars. And not because they were liked by the people or through their popularity. No. Okay. See, we studied French Revolution. You'll remember, just recollect it. In French Revolution, we saw that during the revolt at Brittany, the peasant respected nobles. Right? And the nobles helped them in revolt. Mirabeau, Abbasius, remember? They were not from the third estate, right? They belonged to first and two estate. But then too, they helped the third estate people. They led the revolution. Okay, but the case in Russia was not the same. People did not respect these nobles. These Russian peasants, they wanted the land. Who owned the land? Landowners. So they wanted land of those nobles to give it to them. Okay, they wanted this land from the nobles. So, frequently what did these peasants do? They refused to pay rent. And they became violent at times. They murdered these landlords. And such incidents took place all over Russia in 1905. Now, these Russian peasants, they were different from other European peasants. Okay, I'll tell you. See, this Russian peasant, they pulled their land together and the produce was divided among them according to the needs of the individual families. Children, did you see? Here we studied about the French cities and French society. Socialism prevailed over here. I'll tell you, in cities, workers were divided, right? But they did unite. They went on strike and they united against the factory owners. You can see ideology of socialism is followed over here. In villages with the peasants, they had different opinions. Even peasants were divided. But see the last statement here, you can see on your monitor. They tilled their lands together and divided the produce. This is also ideology of socialism. Okay? That was given by Karl Marx, right now? So children, I'll stop here right now. We will meet in the next class very soon with our revision. Till then, take care and thank you.